feel like you've been stuck drifting through life for a prolonged period, you are not alone, but it is a direct indicator that you are living life in autopilot. Today, I'm going to help you get unstuck, break free from autopilot, and I'm sharing with you my ultimate mindset hack so you can start consciously creating your desired results. I had a conversation with an individual early this week, and he came to me and he shared he's been stuck for over 5 months. Now, a lot of times, by the time somebody gets to me, they've been stuck for years, but he's been stuck for 5 months. He's dwelling on the past. He lacks clarity and vision, and he feels stuck. So if you can relate, you're not alone. But being in that state, think about it, drifting through life, you keep repeating the same choices and same patterns and same behaviors. And when you are in that insanity loop, nothing can change. So I want to help you break free from autopilot, stop living unconsciously, and get out of your own way. Now, what I'm sharing with you today is the idea of living ultra. This is my new motto, and this really came to me several weeks ago as I've been training for my first ultra marathon. I am a runner, I've done triathlons, and I love endurance feats, but here's why I love physical challenges. Physical challenges have taught me how to train my mental, emotional states, how to stay disciplined and be consistent to get to the finish line. But this is a metaphor for life, because when you can train your mental, emotional states, which then drive your habits and behaviors, you can create desired results and outcome. And the reason it's an ultimate mindset hack, your mindset builds your identity, and who you are being, your identity is what creates your reality. So if you don't change the cause, if you don't upgrade the operating system, your mindset, nothing in your life will change. So let's dive in and get to it. And this idea of an ultimate mindset hack, what I live by, my new mantra, my motto, my North Star is to live ultra. And here's what ultra means to me. So the first part about ultra is the idea of being unlocked. So the reason you're stuck and you're going through life's motions, or you're stressed, or you keep repeating same cycles, you've been broke for prolonged periods, you've gained weight, you're in unhealthy or unwanted relationships, or you've been single forever. The only reason you have unwanted results is because you're stuck in autopilot. So unlocked means to break free from autopilot. It's freedom, it's liberation. And the only way you can do that is by being mindful and intentional to get back in the driver's seat of your life, which is mentality and identity driven. So unlocked is all about breaking the cycle of living in autopilot. And the first step to creating change in your life is always awareness. You have to become aware of your thoughts, emotions, and habits that aren't serving you. So the gentleman that came to me this week and shared for 5 months, he's been, and he listed some pain points, dwelling on the past, reminiscing about the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And when you're living in the past, or regret or resentment, those emotional states are driving the inconsistent or unwanted behaviors, giving you unwanted results. So let me write those down. Breaking autopilot is first becoming aware of those thoughts, emotional states, and habits that aren't serving you. Oh, you can't see that. Okay, there. So this is the first step. Become aware of these 3 things, because these 3 create your identity, and as I shared, identity creates your reality. So when you're living unlocked, it means you're no longer in autopilot. You are mindful and intentional. You are disciplined. You have that self-mastery. You are back in the driver's seat of your life and in control of your mind, rather than allowing your mind to control you. So this is the first step of the idea about being unlocked. The second one is leveling up. So a lot of people talk about, being stuck in their comfort zone. And stuck in your comfort zone is really about being stuck in the familiar, the known. But everything you desire is outside of the known. So for me, to level up is constantly growing and evolving. And I have done this through endurance feats. I embrace failure. I know that failure is part of the journey. I love seeing what I'm made of. I know that I'm not the fastest and I'm not the strongest, but I am relentless. I'm coachable. I commit. I'm consistent. And that's what it takes to get the things that you say you want in life. So leveling up is constantly getting out of your comfort zone, trying new things, facing failure, but failure is a first attempt in learning. You don't avoid failure, embrace it, go towards it. And the faster you fail, then you can fail forward. So leveling up is growing and evolving. That's what you came for. Because if you're not growing and evolving, you're dying. The next one is about being tenacious. And to me, tenacity is all about persistence. Because here's the thing. Nothing in life comes, quote, easy. And I'm not saying that as a limiting belief, but the things you want require that next level of you. It requires discomfort. But persistence is like most people give up and quit when something gets hard. I have learned, again, through physical feats, like training for this ultra, that you have to persist no matter what. That if you have your eye on the goal, be flexible in how you get there, and it's never going to be a straight line. There's going to be ups and downs and challenges and obstacles. But if you persist, what you want is inevitable. That next revenue milestone, inevitable. The health, the fitness, the business, the relationship, whatever it is you want is inevitable as long as you persist and you don't give up because something got hard. Art is all about being resilient. So here's the thing, no matter where you are on your life path, you will face challenges and obstacles. That is guaranteed. We all face different adversities, but you have to understand no matter what, you have to get back up. So for me, being resilient is getting back up. Aligned. Now this is the big one. For me, being aligned is embodied identity. And now I really want to get into this identity piece. We'll deep dive after this. But aligned is embodied identity. As I said in the very beginning, your mindset drives your identity, and your identity creates your reality. So for example, if you're currently broke, but you desire financial freedom or you want to be a millionaire, having a broke mentality is never going to get you to that millionaire status or lifestyle. You would have to embody the identity of a millionaire. You have to take aligned actions. You have to be thinking, feeling, and acting as though you are a millionaire, showing up that way because it's a different energy, it's a different frequency, and your identity is creating your reality. So no matter where you are in this idea of living ultra, this mindset hack, you have to have the embodied identity. And this is what most people miss. If you have that 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, if you're not making the progress that you seek, you have not embodied identity. And embodiment is not intellectual. This is not a heady or a conscious mind, which is only 5%. It's an embodiment. It's who you are as an identity. So the idea here is, some people talk about having an alter ego. Think about Clark Kent and Superman. Clark Kent could not have become Superman if he didn't identify as that, and he literally had a cape and changed costume. But he had to become Superman as his identity in order to do the things. So just like you can create an alter ego. But what it is, I coach my clients through is creating that version 2.0. If you want to fast track that autopilot mentality and feeling stuck in life and start thriving in all areas, I provide one-on-one coaching. I invite you to learn more and schedule a breakthrough session by visiting heatherhakes.com, and I will also include the link below. But until you upgrade identity, which is the root cause, nothing in your life will change. So now let's deep dive more about this idea of identity. Again, let me quickly summarize ultra and then we'll move on to identity. But for me, now I embrace this and I actually literally got a bunch of apparel and gear so I can wear it. It's who I am. It's to be unlocked, so I'm not living in autopilot. I'm not defaulting back to old patterns and behaviors that aren't serving me. I am leveling up. I am constantly growing and evolving, getting out of my comfort zone. I am tenacious. I persist no matter what. I am resilient, that even when things get hard or I fall down or I fail or things don't go as planned, I get back up. And finally, I am aligned and embodied identity. So let's deep dive more of this idea of identity. Because without the identity piece, you're only touching the surface level pieces. That's like mowing the weeds in a garden. It doesn't really upgrade your garden, it just tries to make it look better. But I'm not here to band-aid symptoms. I help you get to the root cause in order to create the change that you seek. So let's dive into identity. As I said, your mindset, which are your thoughts, beliefs, perception, we'll get a different color. Your mindset drives your identity. And your identity are your thoughts, emotions, and habits. And your identity creates every result in your life. Your identity is creating your reality. So here's what you can do. You can reverse engineer. Look at your current results in your life and all of the major life buckets. Your health, finances, relationships, business, social life, happiness. If this is new to you, I have a free resource on my website called a life assessment. HeatherHakes.com, take the life assessment. But remember, as I shared, the first step to creating change in your life is awareness. Become aware, what of those life buckets aren't you happy? Where do you have unwanted results? And then we can take that and reverse engineer. Okay, so if you don't have the money you want or the relationship you want or the business, you have to look at the 3 things that are creating it. What are your habits? And most people, this is where they fall into. Inconsistent, procrastinating, relying on motivation, and motivation will never get you there because there are going to be days you don't feel like it. So don't rely on motivation. It comes down to discipline. But relying on motivation, emotional states, this is where most people stay stuck. You're living in stress, fear, lack, worry, and good old self-doubt. These are all survival emotions. And you can't thrive in life when you're stuck in survival. And then thoughts, generally, they're disempowering, they're negative. Thoughts are the first domino. So if you don't change your thinking, your emotional states won't change, your habits won't change, nothing in your life will change. That's why we get to the root cause identity rather than a lot of people are out there trying to habit hack. Habits aren't changing the root cause, which are your thoughts and emotion. They're only band-aiding, and that's why most people are relying on motivation. Habits aren't it. Your emotions drive your habits, and thoughts are the first domino. So if you don't deal with the root cause, if you don't deal with the first domino, the effects in your life can't change. So the guy that came to me this week and we had the conversation, he's been stuck for 5 months. Okay, at least he's reflecting. He has self-awareness and it's only been 5 months. That's pretty good actually. But he's been stuck for 5 months, dwelling on the past, not motivated, inconsistent, doesn't have clarity or direction. So his emotional states, he's probably overwhelmed, bored, dissatisfied. Maybe he even feels hopeless, lack. What are his thoughts? Self-doubt, disempowering. So how do you change this? How do you upgrade the mentality in order to create a new reality? This is where the daily intentional practices come in. Now, I don't want to deep dive all of this because a lot of this I talk about in other videos, but I do want to wrap it up and at least give you this tool. In order to change where you're currently at, it comes down to, I'm going to simplify it into 3 steps. The first step to changing identity is that you have to regulate your nervous system. Here's what I mean by that. When you're living in these survival emotions, stress, fear, lack, worry, doubt, and remember, it's your emotions that are driving your behaviors, giving you the same results. So if your thoughts and emotions don't change, neither do your results. But when you're dysregulated, living in these survival emotions, you can't change your habits, or at least not sustain them. You might be able to for a day or two. So what you have to do is change your emotional baseline. And again, this is identity. How you do that is by regulating your nervous system. Think about your nervous system as the breaker point. So if all of your lights are flickering and you're having all these electrical waves and static and noise and stress, you're incoherent. You can't create change from that state of being. So by regulating your nervous system, breath work, meditation, presence, now you calm the chaos, bring all your power back, you have a new emotional baseline, and then we move on to you have to elevate. This is about elevating your state of being, elevating your thinking and feeling. So when you break free from stress, fear, worry, lack, doubt, and you start thinking and feeling empowered, you're feeling joy, you're feeling grateful, you're feeling relief. So you're elevating your state. By elevating your state, you will then start being consistent, taking aligned action, getting wanted results. Finally, the last step in here on changing identity, you have to generate the aligned frequency. Everything you desire is a frequency. We live in an energetic universe. So the money you want, the lover, the success, the health is a different version of you. It's a different identity. It's a different frequency. So when you regulate your nervous system and you elevate your state, and then you're generating this new frequency by thinking, feeling, and acting in alignment with that new identity, living ultra, you now create wanted results because you are being the wanted version of you. Let me know what questions you have. Be sure to drop them down below. And remember, knowledge alone is not power. Application is integration. Take what you learned today. Take awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and habits that aren't serving you. Write out, create clarity, which is what most people lack. Create clarity no matter what your current circumstances are. What do you want? And then you're going to realize the gap. The gap between where you are and where you want to be comes down to identity. That ultra mindset, showing up, the daily disciplines. Because when you upgrade your identity, you upgrade your entire reality. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you're the first to know when new videos drop. And give me a thumbs up. I'll catch you on the next one.